The New York Mets have traded long-time core member Jeff McNeil, the only remaining core member from 2019 on this team. I told you guys to prepare for the David Stearns onslaught, and we are fully getting that now that the original core of players is completely gone from this team. Jeff McNeil was an exciting player for the Mets early on. Batting title, hitting the ball well. Jeff McNeil became that guy on this team that just had to go. There was no more spot for him. Kind of a guy where we heard murmurs in the clubhouse about, does he have an anger issue? He always has a puss on, always got that angry face on. This is the kind of guy with Jeff McNeil, had beef with Francisco Lindor in 2021, constantly slamming his bat, constantly doing this. They came up with this thing called Happy Jeff, which was something that Mets fans got behind whenever Jeff was playing well, but whenever Jeff was playing bad, Mets fans booed him. Mets fans didn't want anything to do with him. I think the majority of Mets fans are on the same page here with Jeff McNeil. A lot of them came around to the Brandon Nimmo deal. The Alonso and the Diaz one, Mets fans will not get over with until we start winning. That's fully okay. I don't blame Mets fans for that. But in terms of losing Jeff McNeil, the player, what are the Mets actually losing? So before we get into the trade details, what are the Mets actually losing by losing Jeff McNeil? Okay, this is a guy who bursted onto the scene in 2018, hitting 300 in the first 50 games or so of his career. 2020, he hit over 300. 2021, came back down to earth a little bit. 2022, he wins the batting title, hitting 326, and then 270 the following year, and then sub 250, sub 230 the subsequent years. And Jeff McNeil just didn't have a position on this team anymore. He wasn't a great defender at any position, but he could play multiple positions, which is very, very valuable and very versatile, and which is why a team like the Athletics are taking a chance on him. What are the details? What are the Mets getting back? Let's get into that right now as we see Jeff Passan's full report on the Jeff McNeil trade with the New York Mets. So as of now, we are going to the Oakland Athletic. Oakland. I still call them Oakland. I'll never be able to stop. The A's are going to receive Jeff McNeil, and they're getting $5.75 million from the Mets. And I'm shocked the Athletics are taking on $10+ million of that. I'm absolutely shocked that a team would do that, especially a team like the Athletics who tend to be very, very stingy with money. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that aspect. But the Jeff McNeil and $5 million is going to the Athletics. The Mets are also going to pay the $2 million buyout if the option is not exercised next year. Nothing we have to worry about at that point. Mets are receiving right-handed pitcher Yordan Rodriguez. If you do not know who Yordan Rodriguez is, he's a 17-year-old pitching prospect in the International League. You're not going to hear from him for another 4 or 5 years. So it's not about the return, which I think a lot of Mets fans are going to be hung up on. Jeff McNeil around the league, as valuable as we might think he is, Jeff McNeil and that $15 million salary is not as valuable that you think it might be around baseball. Okay, he is a versatile player. At 33 years old, seems like he's starting to get to the downside of what his career is going to be. You're not going to get a big return for Jeff McNeil, especially if the Athletics are going to be paying a major portion of that salary. So what David Stearns did here was he gutted $10 million, almost $11 million from the Mets salary. And I think that's a great move. I love what David Stearns did here. I can't complain about it. And I know Mets fans, they're going to say, here we go, dumpster diving Stearns. It's the same stuff over and over and over again with Mets fans. They just find a way to complain. They find a way to look at the negative side of things. This is the turnover that this fan base needed, okay? This turnover that this fan base needed and getting rid of the same old, all right? Fans just wanted to bring everybody back, okay? They wanted to bring every single player back that's been here since 2019, add a couple of pitchers and run it back. It just wasn't going to happen, okay? Financially, it wasn't going to happen. You can't have a $10 million, you can't have a $500 million payroll. It just doesn't work like that. And bringing all these guys back with their salaries, the Mets were going to be capped at like $350 already with no improvements. All right? So getting rid of Nimmo was the first shot by David Stearns. And it prepared Mets fans and it told Mets fans that this is what we're doing this offseason. I've been here for I'm David Stearns now. I've been here for 2 years, And whatever we've been watching is the same old. Okay? They were 2 games away from a World Series. That might have been the worst thing that could have happened to this franchise, in my opinion. Just like the 2022 Giants, winning actually cost them in the long run. All right? Because they thought they had what they had. They ran it back again in 2025, and it all came crashing down. Okay? You don't add a player like Juan Soto and get worse. Soto's a generational hitter. You don't do that. It's because the same old was happening with this franchise. You needed to take what's been here since 2019 and rebuild it, retool it. David Stearns is going to build the team that he deems fit to consistent, sustained winning. Something which I continue to tell Mets fans they've never seen in their lifetime, so they wouldn't even know what sustained winning looks like. David Stearns built sustained winning in Milwaukee, and you could crap on that all you want. 6 out of the last 7 years, that team's been in the postseason. The Mets can't even make back-to-back postseason appearances more than twice in their entire franchise's history. So if you want to talk about consistent postseason performing, getting to the postseason, and then taking the shot. So in hindsight, of course, the Brewers never won a championship. But if you told me 6 out of the last 7 years they were in the postseason, I'll take my chances with that. The Mets don't even have that. And Mets fans seem to be on this high horse that, we're better than that. Well, we're better than just postseason appearances. You've never seen postseason appearances like this. You have no idea what it looks like. No idea what it looks like. People are talking World Series or bust. You can't even get to the playoffs. You can't even get to the playoffs. And this iteration of the core, which was McNeil, Alonso, Nimmo, this iteration of the core has had the pitching, has had the bullpen, has had the hitters around them. Multiple seasons. Don't just look at last year. Don't just look at the Stearns years. This core has had all of the things around it, and it still couldn't perform. 2022, everybody wants to brag about 2022 when the Mets won 101 games. What people fail to remember about that season is that they had the National League East locked down for like 4 months. And then they just collapsed. And they let the Braves completely walk over them and embarrass them in Atlanta, where the bats went completely silent. And the Mets got swept in Atlanta and lost the division. Those are the facts. And then they got embarrassed again against San Diego, having 3 games at home in the wild card series and losing that series to San Diego. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Where 2 of those 3 games, the bats went quiet. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? You don't bring back the same old stuff. Let's finally change this crap up. Let's change it up. Let's get younger. Let's get more athletic. Let's get way better defensively. Let's get more versatile. We're going to get better pitching. Stearns has a plan here. Okay? The first shot was fired with Nimmo. That should have told everybody, every Mets fan, nothing's off the table. You guys, I don't know, Mets fans are weird, man. Mets fans are weird because it seems like they enjoy losing just so they could have something to complain about. And I just don't understand that. I don't understand how Mets fans are okay with this core being here. And you could blame them all you want. You can not blame them all you want. But the one consistent since 2019 has been the core of this team. And the one thing you cannot debate me on is the common denominator has been these specific guys here with a lot of different iterations around them. Pitching, bullpen, hitting, veterans, young players. They've had it all. And they've made the playoffs twice. Twice. And one of those years they choked away the division. And one of those years they basically got lucky with the OMG stuff, with the Grimace stuff. It was like, that stuff is fun. But when you look back at it, it's almost kind of pathetic as a fan base that we fall in love with this stuff. And during the OMG stuff, during the Grimace stuff, I was all in. I was locked into that stuff, man. Loved all that stuff. But now that missing the postseason the following year, God, it's like Strip away the LMG crap, strip away all the gimmicks, and just give me a team that when I go into the baseball season every year, I know they're going to be in the playoffs. The Brewers have that. All the people that clown on David Stearns, the Brewers have exactly what the Mets need. Consistent postseason appearances. Again, Jeff McNeil traded to the Athletics. If you guys made it this far, like, share, subscribe, and all the good stuff. More videos coming out soon. Thank you guys for watching. It's much appreciated. Thank you guys.